A ranch in the Uinta Basin has been home to numerous bizarre and terrifying events, and it's now the subject of its own TV series on the History Channel.
Yeah, well, tonight, News Specialist Andrew Adams has his own exclusive look inside the mysterious Skinwalker Ranch after a visit that proved to be little out of this world.
Beneath the quiet desert skies of northeastern Utah lies a place where reality seems to unravel. Skinwalker Ranch, long whispered about in native legend and modern conspiracy, has become the epicenter of unexplainable phenomena. From cryptid-like creatures and glowing orbs to portals and mutilated cattle, the ranch defies logic. But now, new high-speed footage has surfaced, capturing something so bizarre that even seasoned experts are at a loss for words. What exactly was caught on camera? A new evidence. For decades, Skinwalker Ranch had a reputation built on stories, eyewitness accounts, blurry photos, radar blips, unexplained injuries. Enough to send chills down your spine, sure, but not enough for mainstream science to take seriously. That all changed when they caught it on camera. In one of the most compelling moments from the ongoing investigation, as seen in The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch Season 6, a team of scientists, led by aerospace engineer Dr. Travis Taylor and ranch superintendent Eric Bard, set up an array of high-speed cameras and aerial surveillance around the mesa, especially after months of anomalies spiking in the area. And then it happened. While scanning the night sky with multiple synchronized cameras, the team captured something no one could explain. 4 glowing rectangular objects, structured, uniform, and moving in formation, appeared directly over the ranch. Not circular, not saucer-shaped. Rectangular. They were flying in perfect sync, with sharp, angular movement unlike any known aircraft. The most jaw-dropping moment. The objects appeared to be emerging from, or entering, an energy anomaly hovering just above the ground. It looked like a shimmering layer of distortion in the air, almost like heat waves, but denser, more intelligent, almost like a window into somewhere else. Travis Taylor, a government-affiliated scientist who had worked on classified aerospace programs, stood there watching the footage play back in real time and simply said, "I've never seen anything like this. This isn't natural." The footage was clean. Multiple angles confirmed it wasn't lens flare or glitch. The team tried to recreate it, but nothing matched. No aircraft in the area, no drones, no military tests. For the first time in the ranch's modern history, they had something solid. Not hearsay, not strange impressions, but real-time, multi-angle footage of structured, unidentified flying objects, behaving with intelligence, interacting with the environment, and vanishing into the unknown. And it didn't stop there. In the same season, while excavating near the mesa, the team unearthed what appeared to be an ancient, massive metallic object buried underground, possibly a dome, possibly artificial, possibly a structure. Ground-penetrating radar and resistivity imaging showed geometric patterns and an unusual electromagnetic field emanating from it. They weren't just looking at a weird rock, they were looking at something built. Then came one of the most bizarre discoveries of all, what appeared to be the preserved skull of a prehistoric dire wolf. Found deep in the mesa region, carbon-dated inconsistently, and anatomically far larger than any known modern wolf species, the skull hinted at something else the ranch might be hiding. Time, or more specifically, a rupture in it. When you stack this new evidence alongside decades of anomalies, mutations, portals, cryptids, and creatures vanishing into nothing, it no longer feels like science fiction. It feels like something bigger, something operating outside the rules of our reality. And this time, it's not just stories, it's on film. The giant, bulletproof wolf. Let's step back to the past. Imagine stepping outside your home and spotting a wolf. Not just any wolf. This one is the size of a small horse. Its head reaches your chest. Its fur is oddly matted, and its eyes look right through you. That's exactly what Terry Sherman and his family claimed to experience on their very first days at Skinwalker Ranch back in 1996. The creature approached their corral like it owned the place, completely unafraid of humans or the livestock nearby. What made it even stranger? It went straight for a calf, trying to yank it through the bars of a pen. Now, Terry wasn't about to let that happen. He did what any rancher would do, grabbed his rifle and opened fire. point-blank range, .357 Magnum, multiple shots. The result? Nothing. The giant wolf didn't flinch. It didn't bleed. It just turned its head slowly, looked at Terry as if mildly annoyed, and eventually trotted off into the brush, completely unfazed. When Terry and his son followed the creature into the woods, they found something even more unsettling. Its enormous paw prints simply stopped. No blood, no trail, just vanished into thin air. Now, let's pause there. A wolf 3 times the size of normal, impervious to bullets, disappears without a trace. Either this was the strangest natural animal ever recorded in North America, or something else entirely was going on. Locals weren't surprised. In fact, many of them nodded knowingly when they heard the story, because this wasn't just a freak animal sighting, it sounded eerily similar to tales of the Navajo Skinwalker, a shape-shifting being, often a malevolent witch or spirit capable of turning into animals, especially wolves. According to lore, these entities are cunning, magical, and often malicious. They don't behave like normal creatures because they aren't. That possibility gave Terry and his family serious chills, and it was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, other bizarre creatures would appear on the ranch. Some were visible only in infrared. Some watched the Shermans from trees. One left behind a footprint resembling something from the Jurassic era, but the massive, invulnerable wolf, that encounter set the tone. It told the Shermans, and eventually scientists and investigators, that the laws of biology and physics didn't seem to apply here. And when bullets stop working, you know you're not just dealing with nature anymore. Just when the Shermans thought they'd seen the strangest thing possible, it happened again, but this time it was different, more deliberate, more intelligent. The yellow-eyed wolf that stared back. One afternoon, not long after the bulletproof wolf encounter, Gwen Sherman stepped out onto the property and locked eyes with something standing about 30 feet away. At first glance, it looked like another wolf, but again, absurdly large. Its body was hulking, its fur darker than night, but what caught her breath were its eyes, bright, icy blue. And they weren't just looking at her, they were studying her. Gwen froze. The animal didn't growl. It didn't bare its teeth. It just stood there, utterly calm. No fear, no aggression, just an eerie confidence that didn't belong to any normal predator. And then, without a sound, it turned and walked back into the trees. Now, any seasoned outdoors person will tell you wolves don't act like that. They don't calmly stare down humans at close range. They're cautious, reactive, always alert. But this one, it stood there like it was waiting, almost as if it recognized her. Was it the same creature from before? The Shermans weren't sure. The color was different. The vibe was different. But that uncanny intelligence, that sense of awareness, was the same. What disturbed Gwen the most wasn't that it appeared. It was how she felt during the encounter. She would later describe it as overwhelming dread, as though something ancient and wrong had looked inside her and chosen to let her go. It wasn't just fear. It was like being on the edge of something enormous and unknowable. Let's talk about that for a second. Encounters with predators in the wild are intense. They spike adrenaline. But people who've had brushes with the creatures at Skinwalker Ranch often describe a very specific feeling, a psychological intrusion, almost like a telepathic presence. As if these beings aren't just looking at you, they're scanning you. That's a massive red flag in the world of the paranormal. It suggests these creatures might not be physical animals at all. They might be projections, or manifestations, or, as some investigators suspect, beings from another dimension capable of phasing in and out of our reality. Because here's the kicker, Gwen's sighting happened in broad daylight, and yet the creature was gone in seconds. No movement in the brush, no sound, just vanished. No one knows what that wolf truly was, but its calm, calculated demeanor left a permanent mark on Gwen Sherman, and it warned her that something at Skinwalker Ranch was watching them, and it wasn't done yet. The humanoid in the tree. Fast forward to 1997. The National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, a team of scientists and investigators funded by billionaire Robert Bigelow, had taken over Skinwalker Ranch. Their mission? Apply hard science to the strangeness. Cameras, sensors, infrared, night vision, you name it, they brought it, and still, the ranch refused to play by the rules. One night, Colm Kelleher, a biochemist with NIDS, was on patrol with a fellow researcher when something caught their attention high up in a tree. It was subtle at first, just a glint, a shimmer. Then they saw them. Eyes, glowing yellow eyes. Roughly 20 feet off the ground, perched in the upper branches of a cottonwood tree, was a massive humanoid figure, bigger than any person should be. It wasn't climbing. It wasn't hanging, it was just there, staring. Now picture that for a moment. You're in the middle of a dark, isolated ranch known for bizarre events, and suddenly there's something watching you from the trees. Not an animal, not a person, something else. Kelleher did what most rational people wouldn't. He grabbed his rifle and aimed. 2 clean shots rang out. The figure didn't scream. It didn't fall. It didn't move. By the time they reached the base of the tree, the being was gone. And here's where it gets even weirder. They found no blood, no body, but they did find a single, clear footprint in the snow. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It had 3 toes, ending in razor-sharp claws. Something the size of a gorilla had just vanished into thin air and left behind evidence that it may not even belong to this evolutionary branch of life. What was it? An interdimensional being? A cryptid? A mutated creature created in a lab? But what really rattled the investigators was the sensation that the creature had let them see it, that it wanted them to. Not in a threatening way, but like a game, a display, a reminder. And this pattern, the eyes, the presence, the impossible escape, wasn't a one-off. It kept happening. Eyes in the darkness, shapes darting between the trees. Something always out of reach, always just beyond the camera's view. It's this calculated elusiveness that made NIDS researchers start using terms like non-human intelligence and adaptive phenomena. Whatever was on that ranch wasn't just weird, it was strategic, and it seemed to be playing by a set of rules we don't understand. To put it bluntly, the hunters were being hunted, but here's the question that kept nagging the team. If these creatures weren't just hiding, where were they coming from? Reptilian eyes, velociraptor, footprint, and portal phenomena. Because the longer the investigations went on, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about weird animals showing up in the woods. Something deeper, more complex, and possibly not of this world, was unfolding on the ranch. One night, several members of the research team were scanning the tree line with night vision and infrared equipment when they spotted something high in a tree again, a pair of glowing yellow eyes. But this time, they weren't alone. At the base of the tree was another figure, described as a large, muscular, dog-like creature, but unlike any canine on Earth. Its proportions were all wrong, too broad, too fast, too quiet, and just like before, it didn't flee. It stood still, watching. The team opened fire, and once again, nothing. When they moved in to investigate, there was no blood, no body, no signs of a hit, except this time they found something, a single, 3-toed footprint, embedded in the snow. It looked exactly like a dinosaur print. In fact, researchers compared it to a velociraptor or a large theropod, 3 clawed toes, long stride, heavy weight, a prehistoric predator in 90s Utah. Some suggested a surviving cryptid species, others floated time slips, or even a biological hoax. But those theories took a hard left when something else happened. A moment that would change how investigators understood everything at the ranch. While scanning the area with infrared equipment, one researcher picked up something absolutely chilling. A tunnel of light, a glowing, oval-shaped structure suspended in mid-air. Nothing visible to the naked eye, but clear as day through thermal imaging. And then, a humanoid figure crawled out of it. It didn't walk through. It didn't emerge like someone stepping out of fog. It crawled, hands first, like a creature exiting a narrow shaft. Once it hit the ground, it stood, took a few steps into the dark and disappeared. No footprints, no heat trail. Multiple researchers witnessed it. The footage, contested, classified, maybe lost depending on who you ask, but the experience left a lasting impression. Whatever was appearing on the ranch wasn't coming from the surrounding forests or mountains. It was entering. Somehow, somewhere, portals were opening, gateways between our reality and something else. And the creatures? They weren't escaping our world, they were visiting it. The question shifted again. Not, what are they? But, where are they coming from? And why? Cattle anomalies, luminous orbs, and activity around the mesa. As investigations into Skinwalker Ranch continued, it became increasingly clear that the phenomena observed were complex and multifaceted. A key question emerged among researchers: what underlying factors were driving these unusual occurrences? Following multiple sightings of anomalous creatures and unexplained portal-like effects, the ranch began experiencing unexplained changes in its livestock. Specifically, some cattle were found exhibiting unusual physical conditions, including precise alterations to certain parts of their anatomy. These changes appeared highly deliberate and atypical, characterized by clean and exact modifications. Remarkably, there was no evidence of distress or natural predation in these cases, and the circumstances surrounding these alterations remained puzzling to experts. Veterinary and wildlife specialists consulted on the matter were unable to attribute these findings to any known natural causes or animal behaviors. At the same time, a number of reports described luminous orbs, small spheres of light in hues of blue, orange, and white, moving silently throughout the property. These orbs demonstrated behaviors suggestive of intentional movement and responsiveness to environmental stimuli, often avoiding attempts at direct observation or capture. One particular type of orb, described as blue in color, exhibited notably dynamic behavior. It was observed moving swiftly through the woods, and its presence was often associated with heightened activity on the ranch. As a precaution, those on site adopted the practice of seeking shelter indoors when these lights were observed nearby. Attention also focused on Skinwalker Mesa, a prominent geological feature on the property. Investigators noted that various unidentified aerial phenomena appeared to enter and exit the mesa area as if through an unseen gateway. Drones deployed to study this region frequently encountered technical difficulties, including sudden loss of power and collisions with apparent invisible barriers. Energy fields undetectable by visual means but measurable through specialized sensors. Radiation and electromagnetic readings around the mesa showed unusual fluctuations in gamma radiation, microwave emissions, and magnetic fields, suggesting an active and possibly artificial energy source below the surface. Taken together, these findings led researchers to conclude that Skinwalker Ranch represents a concentrated zone of unexplained phenomena. The interactions observed, ranging from anomalous livestock conditions to intelligent light phenomena and unexplained aerial activity, point toward the presence of a complex and perhaps purposeful intelligence engaging with the environment. Rather than isolated or random incidents, these occurrences appear to be interconnected components of a broader and more profound mystery. Critical perspectives. While the phenomena reported at Skinwalker Ranch are undeniably intriguing, it is important to approach such extraordinary claims with a critical and analytical mindset. Over the years, many experts, scientists, and observers have expressed skepticism about some of the more sensational aspects of the ranch's history and recent investigations. One primary point of skepticism revolves around the reliability of eyewitness testimony. Human perception is known to be fallible, particularly under conditions of stress, fear, or limited visibility. Memory can be influenced by suggestion, expectation, and cultural narratives. Given that many accounts come from individuals with close emotional ties to the ranch, the possibility of unintentional exaggeration or misinterpretation cannot be discounted. Similarly, photographic and video evidence from the ranch has often been criticized for lacking definitive clarity. Blurry images, ambiguous shapes, and inconsistent lighting conditions can create illusions or misidentify natural phenomena as something extraordinary. Skeptics argue that some of the more dramatic footage could be explained by camera artifacts, atmospheric effects, or human error. Another consideration involves the role of hoaxes or deliberate misinformation. The ranch's notoriety has attracted media attention and commercial interest, which can incentivize embellishment or fabrication. Although no conclusive proof of hoaxing has emerged, this possibility remains a cautionary factor in evaluating the evidence. Furthermore, natural explanations should be carefully examined. Many purported anomalies, such as unusual lights or sounds, could be attributed to atmospheric conditions, wildlife activity, or geological phenomena unique to the region. For example, the high magnetic activity in the area could cause visual disturbances or equipment malfunctions that might be misinterpreted as paranormal events. Despite these critical viewpoints, it is also clear that Skinwalker Ranch presents a challenging case that resists simple explanation. The breadth and consistency of reports, coupled with modern scientific investigations, suggest that there may be genuine phenomena worthy of continued study. The key lies in maintaining rigorous standards of evidence, applying scientific methodology, and remaining open yet cautious. By balancing curiosity with skepticism, researchers can explore the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch without falling prey to assumptions or sensationalism. Whether one approaches the ranch's stories as unexplained mysteries or as products of folklore and misunderstanding, Skinwalker Ranch remains a fascinating subject that continues to captivate both the public and the scientific community alike. Do you believe these stories and personal encounters? Drop your thoughts below, and for more content like this, subscribe to the channel.